A new breeze is blowing. And a world refreshed by freedom seems reborn. For in man's heart, if not in fact, the day of the dictator is over.
The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 sent shockwaves around the globe, heralding what many hoped would be a new and more peaceful world order. But the post-communist chaos of the 1990s paved the way for Russian President Vladimir Putin. To his detractors, Putin is an autocrat, crushing any threat to his power or that of his cronies, while renewing Soviet-style expansionism. To supporters, Putin represents Russia's redemption as a global superpower and an alternative to the liberal democracy espoused by the West. Russia's foreign policy, next on Great Decisions. Great Decisions is produced by the Foreign Policy Association in association with Thomson Reuters. Funding for Great Decisions is provided by PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP. The world changed in 1991 when the Soviet flag was lowered for the last time over the Kremlin. In its place was raised the flag of Russia, and what many hoped would symbolize a new era of freedom and Western-style democracy.
By the fall of 1991, Russia was moving towards independence in agreement with other Soviet republics. The Soviet Union was about to be dismantled.
People, including myself, who lived in the Soviet Union at the time, didn't see it coming. People were ready for a change. They wanted Western values. They wanted democracy.
There was a lot of hope that the new Russia, which also became an independent state like every other former republic, would change, that they will become a country of normalcy with the human rights, democracy.
A new era began, an era when we had genuine freedom of the media in Russia, when elections actually mattered, and when the outcome of the elections was determined by how people voted.
Russian President Boris Yeltsin faced the task of implementing an array of political and economic reforms, the seeds of which had been planted by the Soviet Union's last premier, Mikhail Gorbachev.
Almost everybody was facing extreme uncertainty and alarm at a collapsed economy, empty shelves, high inflation, and tremendous political turmoil.
Under the advice and guidance of Western economists, Western business leaders, and Western politicians, Russia started to implement what has become known as shock therapy reform.
A chicken costs nearly 2 weeks' pay. Only those with hard currency are assured of getting something.
Tens of thousands of state-owned enterprises had to be privatized, reshaping the entire Russian economy.
It was seen as really something like the period of the 1870s, 80s, and 90s in the United States, with the robber barons doing exceedingly well and the people not doing well, and their standard of living falling.
Each state enterprise was assigned a certain number of vouchers, and then people could buy them up. Those who had the connections who had some money already, not your average Russian citizen, were able to buy mass amounts of these vouchers.